What's up, guys? In this video, I want to talk about how building muscle fast actually works. So, the first question we should ask ourselves is, how do we actually build muscle? How does it work? Our muscles undergo a process which is called muscle protein turnover. And muscle protein turnover basically consists of muscle protein synthesis. This is where muscle proteins are created, and muscle protein breakdown, where damaged and old proteins are broken down. We need this to keep our muscles healthy and functional, but if we want to build muscle, we want muscle protein synthesis to be greater than muscle protein breakdown. So whenever, imagine a curve, on the x-axis you have time, on the y-axis you have grams per hour, for example, and then you have the MPS curve and the MPB curve. So MPS is muscle protein synthesis and MPB is muscle protein breakdown. So whenever muscle protein synthesis is above the muscle protein breakdown curve, we are building muscle. And then the space in between, or the area between or below the muscle protein synthesis curve and above the muscle protein breakdown curve, is basically how much muscle we build. And if we want to maximize how much muscle we build, then we need to maximize the muscle protein synthesis curve and minimize the muscle protein breakdown curve. So, what factors even influence muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown though? The first one is resistance training. The second is protein, intake, timing, and quality. The third one is energy availability. The fourth one is genetics. The fifth one is training age or already built muscle mass. So the more muscle you already have, the less muscle you can build and the lower your muscle protein synthesis is probably going to be. And then sixth is the chronological or biological age. Seventh is sleep and recovery, and eighth is cortisol or stress. And if we want to maximize muscle protein synthesis, because we can only really maximize muscle protein synthesis because muscle protein breakdown will always exist, because we need to get rid of old and damaged muscle proteins. That's just a fact. And yeah, we need that to keep our muscles healthy. So we can't really lower our muscle protein breakdown below a certain point unless you have elevated muscle protein breakdown because of increased stress. Only then we can really lower it, but only up until a certain point. So what we should focus on is trying to maximize muscle protein synthesis. And by maximizing muscle protein synthesis, we're already minimizing muscle protein breakdown automatically at the same time. So how do we maximize muscle protein synthesis? With the factors that I mentioned that influence muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown. Now, of the ones that I mentioned, only a few of them are actually changeable. For example, genetics, training age or already built muscle mass, and chronological or biological age. We can't really influence them. So let's disregard them and focus on the other ones, like resistance training, protein intake, timing and quality, energy availability, sleep and recovery, cortisol, and stress. Now, so how do we maximize muscle protein synthesis with resistance training? Now, resistance training is the most important factor to maximize MPS. For example, you can feed a coma patient as much protein and food as you want. You won't build any significant amount of muscle mass or skeletal muscle, which is the type of muscles we want. Why? Because there's exactly zero reason for their body to do so. There is just no stimulus. The reason some studies seem to find slight muscle gain during a calorie surplus, even without resistance training, is because everyday physical activity still provides a minimal stimulus. Anyway, how do we maximize the stimulus we get from resistance training? To understand that, we need to know what even creates the stimulus. And the seemingly only and best supported muscle growth stimuli are mechanical tension and muscle fiber recruitment. And you probably need both high mechanical tension and high muscle fiber recruitment at the same time. Now, what is mechanical tension? Mechanical tension represents the internal load or force the muscles experience when contracting against resistance. It is higher the more the bar speed slows down due to being close to failure. Now, what is muscle fiber recruitment? Muscle fiber recruitment refers to the amount of motor units being recruited during a set of a resistance exercise. In the beginning of a set, more low threshold motor units will be activated. The more they fatigue, the more motor units need to be recruited to keep producing force. That's when the higher threshold motor units will be activated. And if a set is sufficiently heavy, nearly all motor units will be recruited from the start. So to maximize both mechanical tension and muscle fiber recruitment, we want to train close to failure, so 0 to 1 RIR. Make sure it's actually 0 to 1 RIR and not what you think is 0 to 1 RIR. And it needs to be in the 4 to 12 rep range in the best case, with moderate to heavy loads, because training in the higher rep ranges can lead to less motor unit recruitment due to CNS fatigue. Now let's get to the second factor to optimize or maximize, I should say, muscle protein synthesis, which is our protein intake, timing, and quality. This is the second most important factor to maximize muscle protein synthesis. Amino acids are the building blocks of muscle tissue, as they are assembled into new muscle proteins during muscle protein synthesis. If we don't consume enough amino acids, the body simply won't have the raw materials needed to build new muscle tissue, and muscle growth will not occur. It's not just about the quantity though. The right types of amino acids must also be present. Think of it like baking. If you're missing one key ingredient, you can only bake as many batches as that limiting ingredient allows before production stops. Similarly, in muscle protein synthesis, if even one essential amino acid is missing or insufficient, the body can only synthesize new muscle proteins until that amino acid runs out, at which point muscle protein synthesis comes to a halt. Ideally, we want to provide our body with enough of the right ingredients throughout the day to maximize baking uptime, i.e., we want to feed our bodies enough of the right amino acids throughout the day to maximize muscle protein synthesis uptime. Now, how do we do all of that in practice? It's pretty simple. We eat 1 or more grams of high quality protein per pound of body weight, evenly distributed across 3 to 6 evenly spaced meals throughout the day. Now, protein quality and protein timing doesn't really matter as much as long as you're consuming more than 1 gram per pound of body weight, or 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Then the other factors don't really matter as much. But if you really want to optimize, maximize, whatever, then you can try to adhere to the other factors as well. Now, what are high quality protein sources that you can eat? Those are lean meats, for example, chicken, turkey, minced beef, if you have that in a low fat variant, etc. Then lean dairy products are also great, for example, low fat cheese, Greek yogurt, skim milk, etc. Then eggs are also a great high quality source of protein. Then whey or casein supplements, which are basically dairy proteins. Fish. I have no idea about fishes as I don't eat them, sorry. And probably some vegan sources as well. Again, I have no idea about that, so don't really know. And I am more and more of the opinion that consuming more than 1.6 gram per kilogram of protein is beneficial. I know studies often find that this is not the case, but anecdotally I think it's true. There was even a recent article that came out by Stronger by Science, which seems to claim that consuming more than 2.2 grams per kilogram, which is roughly equivalent of 1 gram per pound, might even be beneficial. Now, if we want to maximize muscle protein synthesis, the third factor we need to take into account is energy availability. This isn't as important as I once thought. As long as you're not too lean, so above 10% body fat, and are consuming pretty close to maintenance calories or above, you can build muscle. Yes, even in a slight deficit. Energy availability refers not only to short-term energy balance via calorie consumption, but also long-term energy availability via fat stores. This explains why overweight people can build muscle while in a deficit. The bodies of overweight people have enough long-term energy availability to allow for muscle growth while in a calorie deficit. Being in a deficit, i.e. consuming calories below maintenance, can and probably will decrease your muscle growth when compared to being closer to maintenance or above, but it's still possible as long as the deficit isn't too high. Further, it seems consuming a sizable calorie surplus isn't necessary to maximize muscle growth. And what do I mean with a sizable calorie surplus? Probably above 250 calories is a sizable calorie surplus and isn't really needed. We can maximally synthesize 5 to 20 grams of muscle protein per day. To do that, we need a calorie surplus of about 20 to 100 calories. But since trying to stay at maintenance likely leads to small amounts of weight gain over time, just naturally, we can stick to consuming close to maintenance calories and see how our body weight changes over time. As long as we are not gaining more than 0.15 to 0.5 kilograms per month, we should be fine. This is roughly equivalent to 0.3 to 1.1 pounds per month. If we are gaining faster than that, it could be that we are gaining needless amounts of additional fat while not increasing our muscle gain. And now let's go over the last factor that influences muscle protein synthesis, which is sleep. Sleep also really isn't that important as long as you're not fucking up your sleep through chronic sleep deprivation or a extremely fucked up sleep schedule where you're going to bed at different times all the time and not really going to bed at night, which you should do. Just try to sleep 8 or more hours every night and you should be golden. Now let's summarize. How do we maximize muscle protein synthesis to maximize muscle growth? The first factor is we need to train close to failure, so 0 to 1 RIR in the 4 to 12 rep range with moderate to heavy loads. Then we want to eat 1 or more gram of high quality proteins per pound of body weight, evenly distributed across 3 to 6 evenly spaced meals throughout the day. Third, we want to not gain more than 0.15 to 0.5 kilogram or 0.3 to 1.1 pounds per month, or you are likely gaining needless amounts of fat, which will not get you more muscle growth. And fourth, we want to try to sleep more than 8 hours every night, or at least not fuck up our sleep. Now, if you want help transforming your body as fast as possible, I am currently coaching the first few guys who sign up for my one-on-one coaching for free. The only thing I would like in return is a testimonial and possibly a referral. If you're interested, you can sign up with the link in the description. And if you want to, you can also check out the written version of this video as a newsletter in the description as well. That's it. I hope to see you in, and I will hopefully see you in the next video as well. Bye.